Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
This is The Ray Taylor Show.
Rayz Dayz, episode 140 of the show, where I pretty much just talk about my week. So if you want to get to know me more on a more personal level and not just my opinions on movies and current events, this is the show. Welcome. You've come to the right place. And in this episode, as I said, talking about my week, as I mentioned last week, ever since the weather started getting colder, I have been sleeping like garbage. Thankfully, this week started off sleeping like garbage and slowly progressed into actually being able to sleep through the night, which is a novel thing for me recently. Which is kind of great. I've been staying up late because I've also been very productive and motivated and staying up working on things a lot later than I normally staying up midnight or even later working on stuff, but still waking up at like 6 or 7 in the morning. But, it's a sacrifice, I guess. Lack of sleep versus getting a lot of things done, which I'm happy to have the motivation to get things done. Because I'm not always motivated to get things done. Sometimes I just want to get the bare minimum done, get it over with, and move on to the next week. So when I do have these moments where I'm in the mood and motivated to get projects done and complete stuff, I like to take advantage of it. So that's been nice. One of the things I did, I came across my Kindle this week, which is a device that I got many years ago, maybe close to a decade ago, one of the first Kindles. And it's, I've over the years tried to get back into reading. I used to read a lot when I was a projectionist, and it was a great way to get paid to pass the time is to read a book. And since the days of my being a projectionist, I haven't really been into reading. Here and there, I've gotten into reading certain things, audiobooks here and there, but it's kind of tough. It's hard for me to focus. I get distracted. I end up having to reread pages a lot. Even when I was reading a lot of comics in Denver, I had that problem, just getting distracted and thinking of other things. My mind would wander, and I'd have to go back and reread stuff. But I found my Kindle, and since recent events, talked about it at the end of Tuesday's episode of my recap of the final episode of the Midnight Club. I also talked about it in Swipe Up last week, that the Midnight Club, a show I was doing episode-by-episode recaps of, was canceled, and it is a show that was based on Christopher Pike books. Not only the show Midnight Club, but in the show there were kids living in a hospice who would get together and tell stories to each other, and each of those stories told by the kids was based on a different Christopher Pike book. And since that got canceled, I very much would love to go and hopefully read the book that the show was based on, to hopefully get answers to questions that were brought up during the season, that obviously, because it was canceled and not given any more seasons, like a show that was clearly set up to have some interesting things happen over the seasons, with new kids coming in as people died, and just slowly kind of understanding the mysteries surrounding the Brightcliff mansion that was the hospice. So I found the Kindle, and I decided I'm going to use this to load in a bunch of, hopefully get some Christopher Pike books and read those. Wasn't able to necessarily find Christopher Pike books accessible for me to read, but I did load it up with a bunch of Stephen King books, which I've become a fan of Stephen King's movies. I did a top 5 of Stephen King horror films, and I do enjoy his stories, and I have friends that absolutely love Stephen King and obsessed with reading everything. So I was able to find a bunch of Stephen King books that I loaded onto the device and started reading Carrie, which is like one of his first stories in a movie, that I liked. But it's nice reading books that movies are based on, but not having necessarily the connection to the movies in a way that would distract me from reading, because there's many times when I was reading a lot of Chuck Palahniuk books, who was the writer who wrote Fight Club that the movie was based on. And I've never been able to read the book Fight Club because I had watched that movie so many times. While reading it, I was constantly like just watching the movie in my head, and the fact that they don't line up a lot made it impossible for me to read it. Maybe I could now, but I don't have that problem with Carrie. So I've started reading Carrie. And I do enjoy the Kindle. It's a light device. It's super basic. The fact that I'm able to load books on there is a nice aspect to it. And I've enjoyed it. So hopefully when I finish reading Carrie, I will be able to find, and now that I've finished doing the recaps of the Midnight Club, hopefully I'll be able to find more Christopher Pike books, specifically the Midnight Club, and read that and see how it ends, and maybe do a follow-up episode, which I didn't mention when I recorded the episode that I might do that, but definitely something I might do. So I started reading this week, which is kind of nice. I actually just figured out that reading first thing in the morning, right? Because some mornings I will take my roommate's kid to school because my roommate's working, and I work from home and have like a flexible schedule, do whatever, and try to help out whenever I can. So I take the kid to school, and I found that reading when I first wake up, instead of putting on a podcast that I can't finish before I take him to school, or just getting lost in social media, which I'm not on. So I'm not on Twitter, which is what I used to scroll constantly. Like I found that it's kind of a nice thing to do in the morning to pass the time between when I wake up and when I have to take him to school. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how I'm able to continue reading. And I've also, while working on other things, while I'm not reading, I've started listening to a lot more music, because podcasts over the past year, I kind of got tired of a lot of stand-up comedians podcasts, which I used to subscribe to many podcasts that were created by stand-up comedians. I kind of got tired of the trend that has been going on for a long time with many comedians' podcasts, is the tendency for them to constantly complain about cancel culture on almost every episode. So I kind of made a rule, as I've unsubscribed to podcasts that seem to have begun to lean farther right wing, or to kind of jump on board with a lot of the anti-vax stuff that is a trend popularized by Joe Rogan, one of the more famous stand-up comedians. There's a lot of other comedians that kind of jumped on that bandwagon and started to parrot a lot of the ignorance and bias that Rogan has done, and a lot of the right-wing viewpoints and talking points that you would see on a Fox News channel program. So I've already unsubscribed to a lot of podcasts because the pandemic really exposed a lot of people with that. But then I expanded that to just anybody that would complain about cancel culture, because I'm just kind of tired of this constant complaining of cancel culture, specifically by people who are going out and selling out shows like Dave Chappelle or Joe Rogan or any of these comedians that complain about cancel culture that has supposedly been canceled, yet are still working, doing their job, selling out shows. And I just kind of got tired of this thing that's not real. And it's just annoying that that's like the constant thing that is very much a right-wing fiction, right? What they consider to be cancel culture is just people vocalizing their disagreement with their right-wing content, or just, being vocal about or holding people accountable for awful things they've done, right? Those are usually the two things that they consider to be cancel culture. But, if you're a horrible person and you get called out on it, you're not being canceled. You're just being found out that you're a horrible person, right? And if you're a person that has right-wing, your comedy is you've sold out to right-wing audiences, in that you use racism, homophobia, misogyny, these things of transphobia. You use these topics as comedy. Like, instead of actually writing jokes, you just are saying things that I would have heard playing pickup basketball in middle school, like that right-wing audiences love and consider to be comedy. I mean, we've definitely seen that on Twitter. That's very much what Elon Musk considers to be comedy, not the actual comedy that the comedians who were banned by Elon Musk were doing. But there's a lot of people that consider racism and misogyny and homophobia to be funny and to be comedy, which, there's probably some nuance there, but in general, those are the things they're being called out on, and they don't like that people are calling them out on it. They want to go back into a time where it was socially acceptable to be racist or homophobic or misogynist, and that being a funny thing that you can just point at as an effortless crutch to like spew hack material. And so I've unsubscribed to a bunch of podcasts, started to listen to more music to fill the air when I'm working on things. And specifically, I've been, exploring what Apple Music has to do with like their different stations and playlists. And I found that I love listening to jazz. I've kind of started listening to jazz a year or two ago, but definitely it's like my favorite thing to work to have jazz music playing. Not only just kind of like smooth jazz, whatever, and I prefer just instrumental stuff, not necessary, doesn't need to have lyrics to it, doesn't have to have a singer, just jazz music. I also love free jazz, like the insane, just sounds like noise. I love that too. So I've been listening to a lot of jazz this week. Actually, not just this week, but it's kind of a trend that I've noticed. Also, writing my blogs, as I've been doing every week for Inspired Disorder Plus, I've noticed that writing again, which is something I used to do a lot of, in writing again, I've noticed that I'm able to organize my thoughts more in just doing this show. So it feels like there's a residual benefit for me writing again in just being able to organize my thoughts and speak more clearly. At least that's the feeling that I get. I don't know if it's true or if it's just a feeling that I have when it comes to that. But I feel like it's something I've noticed this past week in writing, and I'm able to write a lot longer, and it's just everything just feels like it's flowing a lot better in general. All the things I'm doing, whether it's my writing, whether it's my artwork, whether it's the completing projects that I've had on my to-do list forever, whether it's these podcasts, like it feels like I've gotten to a place where it feels more effortless. It feels just easier in some ways. There's less friction to it. There's less messiness to it. I don't know if that's true, but that's just the feeling I get. Let's take a little break from the show to promote gift certificates. If you want to purchase artwork for somebody, you have an art lover in your life, and you think they would like my art, but you don't know what painting to get them. I have over 2,000 original pieces of art for sale in my store, along with shirts and prints and other things. So I can understand that being a bit daunting if you're trying to buy something for somebody else. give them the gift certificate, and then they can go to my website, inspireddisorder.com, and they can buy whatever paintings they want. They can buy whatever prints they want. They can buy t-shirts. They can buy hats. They can buy all the different merch gift certificates, which are available currently at inspireddisorder.com. And now let's get back to the show. And part of that is due to, I think, finally using the reminders app on my phone to organize a lot of the things I want to get done. I used to, I've tried many times to use my reminders app and to-do lists to varying success, but I've always preferred having a visible list, like on a whiteboard, of things I want to do, so I could always look at them and they have that constant reminder. But I've finally gotten used to that reminder being on my phone, and I think that might be due to no longer being on Twitter, that when I pick up my phone, I'm not instantly going into Twitter and just being bombarded with all the nonsense that's on there. Now when I pick up my phone, I have things that are necessary to, I go through the things that I need to do, and I've gotten used to finally looking at my to-do lists and knocking them off and putting new things on there that I want to do. And I've just started using it a lot more efficiently and looking at it and just keeping up with it. And I think that's probably what's contributed the most to me being more productive and also being more organized and being able to handle all the many things that I'm doing this week. So kind of been my week, kind of a lot of stuff that I'm happy with, the direction everything's going. Obviously, I mentioned last week that my subscribers for this podcast are continuing to grow. I'm really hopeful. I mean, I think as I'm recording this, it's the 10th of December, I believe. As December 11th. So there's still, we're a third of the way through the month, and so far the subscribers for this podcast are at 50,000. So trajectory-wise, looking like hopefully I will reach the 100,000 mark, which I've predicted will be by the end of this year, get over 100,000 subscribers. So it looks like if it stays on track, that will be the case. So I'm super stoked about all of those things, and I hope all of these things will lead to being able to survive. Survival would be nice. Survival would be great. As far as being able to unplug from things, what I've been watching that I'm not reviewing, but a show that I found on Netflix that I really enjoyed watching. It's one of those cooking shows, competition cooking shows, but it's junk food. I forget what it's called. I think it's like Chef versus Vending Machine or something like that. And it's basically these chefs going on the show to recreate popular snacks. Starting off with Flaming Hot Cheetos was the first product that they had to emulate, right? Other products are like the Kit Kat bar. They tried to do Ho-Hos, Lay's, the many different kinds of flavoring Lay's has. They had to simulate a specific type of dish in a potato chip flavoring. I don't know. If you're a fan of junk food, right? Maybe you're a stoner. Maybe you're just a fat guy like me, and you're a fan of junk food, right? Maybe it's it's not good for you, but you do love it. You're addicted to Flaming Hot Cheetos like I am, right? The kind of perfection. There's an episode where they do Oreo cookies, but it's really interesting seeing people make these snacks and how crazy it is that these snacks are produced to begin with. But yeah, I really enjoy this. It's on Netflix. It's a fun show. And also I've been playing around a lot with Chat GPT, which has been flooding my TikTok For You page, and with people talking about it. Completely different fields, professions. There was a doctor who was playing around on it, and he just gave a patient's symptoms. I don't know if he used an actual patient, but just kind of, he's been a doctor, so I'm sure he knows. And he gave symptoms, and then he's playing around with this. It's like an AI chat, for those that don't know, where you put in a prompt, and it's basically like the most brilliant assistant you could think of. Maybe not brilliant, doesn't always get things right, but like it's the thing that I think a lot of people hoped Siri would fulfill when it kind of came to being. Like this assistant that seemingly understands what you're saying and can provide answers to questions you have. Right? That's kind of what this chat, and it can write. It understands all languages. It understands all the coding languages. There are coders who have played around with this, who have demonstrate how effortless it is for people to code stuff. Like I said, doctor, effortless for him to see and have this thing accurately diagnose and prepare treatments for this fictional person. People who just doing basic research, showing how effortless it is going to be for people to mine and to do research. There's teachers who have shown how like insane it will be for teachers to identify if a kid is actually even writing essays and things like that. There was a marketing professional who was blown away that this AI was able to create these marketing materials that she does for a living in just seconds. And it's just one of many examples of how AI is going to completely upend every single industry that exists. I've started playing around with it, specifically trying to figure out ways to get sponsors for this podcast, ways to market my artwork, ways to optimize the SEO on my website or YouTube. Like I've already started just scratching the surface on things, and soon I will be digging in deeper, and it's going to be a tool that I think I will be using a lot of, and hopefully will allow me to survive. Like everything I'm trying to do, just trying to survive, trying to make these things that I do, my artwork and this podcast, be profitable in a way that I can live off of this and be sustainable and not have to worry about not only being able to pay rent and buy food and take care of things, but hopefully finally thrive in a way. Right? This may help me finally get traction in that sense, where I feel like the quality of work I'm doing is at the highest level I've ever done, and I'm constantly getting better. But also I'm seeing subscribers to this show obviously exploding, but I want to be able to take advantage of those things and use them to their fullest extent, especially since who knows what's going to happen in reality. There's going to be so many people out of jobs from AI. Like I don't know. There are so many industries of people who have been playing around with this thing that are just like freaking out because it can do their job. Like people are going to be so replaceable, and we're seeing that with tons of tech companies getting rid of people. Amazon getting rid of people. They replaced their HR department with AI. Like this is going to, whether it's a creative industry or not, coding, creativity, writing, images, all that stuff is going to be easily replaced by AI. But it's also a tool that individuals like myself can use. Because I can't afford to hire people, it's hopefully going to give me that assistant that can do a lot of things, that knows more than I can, that I can use to help grow in areas where I'm weak. So, Chat GPT, if you haven't heard about it, you're just not online. I don't understand. It's like it's everywhere. And I played around with it this week. Let's take a little break from the show to promote the benefits of Inspired Disorder Plus. So you go inspireddisorder.com/plus. Sign up, $5 a month. You get to binge the full week of the Ray Taylor Show ad-free. You get to watch all of the live painting videos I do. You get a special members-only discount and deals for all of the artwork and merch that I sell. You also get the complete podcast back catalog of every podcast I've ever produced, hundreds of episodes, countless different podcasts. You also get access to my personal blog. A new blog comes out every week. In addition to that, you get my creative writing that I'm releasing. You also get access to Asking Me Anything. 14 years of experience podcasting. I've been creating art my entire life. I've been using Photoshop since middle school, and you can contact me to ask me questions about that or anything else. So those are the benefits for signing up for Inspired Disorder Plus. And now let's get back to the show. So let's finish this off. As I do every week on the Ray Taylor Show, on Rayz Dayz specifically, I like to end every episode talking about something that I'm thankful for. Right? It's so easy to talk about the things that are negative in life, that it's easy to identify the things you hate in life or you wish were better. I want to highlight as an exercise something that I'm happy about, that I'm thankful for. And in this week's episode, I am thankful for a piece of content that is a drug. It is a mood booster. It makes me feel happy. It makes me cry. It makes me emotional. It gets me in touch with, like, it is a piece of content that is 100% guaranteed to put me into a very specific mood that is insane. And it's something that I haven't watched in a long time and revisited this past week. And it's like, it just, as if I never left, and it did exactly what it used to do. And it's something that I'm thankful exists, and it's insane because I am thankful for this week. I am thankful for America's Got Talent. The talent show, competition show, where people go up in front of 4 judges, Howie Mandel and different people. I'm blanking on the other judges, and they do whatever their talent is, whether it's singing, dancing, comedy, these stunts, whatever it is, they do these things. And every time I watch this show, I will laugh, I will cry, I will be so emotionally engaged in this show like I am in nothing in life gets me this emotionally invested. It is 100% a thing that whatever the dopamine, serotonin release, it is a drug, this show. It is a reliable drug that I can put on and watch. It's available on Peacock. I used to watch it on Hulu. Don't know if it's still available on Hulu, but I'm watching season 17 on Peacock. I am getting choked up. I am like, it is enthralling in a way nothing in life is to me. So much so that I am considering doing a reaction video series of me watching this. So you can watch me cry. So you can watch me you can watch all of these visceral reactions I have to watching this show. And part of it is like watching people realize a dream. Watching people rise to the occasion. The immense pressure these people have to have an opportunity to do this thing that is so unique to them, right? It's like somebody doing tricks with a hockey stick and a puck, choreographed to music, or a guy choreographing, doing Rubik's Cubes with multiple hands while riding a unicycle, juggling with one hand. Like just things that you would never see in your entire life existing. You may never see some of the things that people do on this show. So as a viewer, you're seeing completely novel things that are completely unique and you never seen before, and maybe you'll never see them again. But you're also seeing people fulfilling a dream, right? Doing the thing that in many ways I'm trying to do. Obviously, I don't do anything performative that would be fitting for a show like that. But it is still that desire, these people that have worked their life trying to perfect an art that they are passionate about, that the majority of humanity is not supportive of in a lot of ways, and to have an opportunity to not only display this thing that you've been working on, display your art to the world. Obviously, yeah, you're being judged. It is a show, but it's still this it's an opportunity. It is eyeballs. It is a moment where people can notice you. And even people that don't win this show are able to gain careers from it, right? Just because of the exposure you get from it. I remember back in the day when I had a day job that I hated, every morning I would wake up on my iPad and I would go and World Star Hip Hop every morning, and I would watch fight videos, and there would always be clips of this show. So I had seen clips of these people like rising to, and it would always make me cry and get me emotional. And I would love to start my day seeing one of those clips. And I'd never watched the show till many years later. Saw it on Hulu, and it's like, let's check out this show. I've only seen clips of. I don't like the idea of judges, whatever. Simon Cowell, actually kind of agree with Simon Cowell most of the time. He's brutally honest, really hard on singers for sure. But like I don't think I think he gets a lot of undue hate for just being brutally honest a lot of times. But watching the show, it's just like, oh my God. And just getting emotional watching people succeed at doing things that I've never seen done before. Just amazing. It is amazing. I absolutely love this show. And it's something that without fail will just completely have absolute control over my emotions. Like nothing in life. And in a positive way. So I'm really thinking I might do reaction videos. Whether those are released to Inspired Disorder Plus members exclusively or released to the general public, who knows? I haven't recorded them, but I thought of that last night because as I'm crying, I'm like, I should be doing, because this is the only thing I'm really viscerally reacting to. Versus anything else I watch. Like every movie I watch, TV show I watch, most of the time, I'm not reacting. I'm just watching a thing. It is not entertaining to watch me watch something. I've tried. It feels performative when I'm doing anything for a reaction video. But doing this, I can't help it. It gets to me in a way nothing else does. So, and what I saw last night was insane. It's like between breaks during production of the show, they have like a warm-up guy in the crowd, like every TV show does, right? They have warm-up guys, and they go out, and a lot of them, they're funny. And this one, the guy goes through and just asks if there's anybody in the crowd that wants to sing, right? If you're in the audience for the show, hey, you want to sing? You good singer? Hey, try singing. And he gives the microphone to this little girl in this one episode, and she belts out Amazing Grace. Right. And Simon Cowell's walking back in from backstage and he hears this thing. He's like, what the hell? And everybody's like looking and there's like, oh my God, it's that little girl. Right. Unplanned, not part of the audition, just somebody who her dad takes her to watch this show. She's come and watch auditions before. Right. They live in the area. He brings her there. And it's a dream to one day audition for this thing. She belts out Amazing Grace just on her own. No backing music or whatever. And blows the judges away. And they talk to her and they're like, hey, do you want to go on stage? You want to just do an audition right now? So just from the audience, given the mic randomly, right? Oh, I'll sing, belts it out. Then she gets put on stage, sings it again. I'm like getting emotional just thinking about. She gets on stage, just little girl, sweet little girl, talking about her dad survives like cancer. Right? He's been fighting cancer for 9 years. And if she were to win the $1 million, she would use it to help him, right? Do cancer research because he's been struggling with cancer his whole life, for 9 years, for her whole life. And immense pressure. She's on this giant empty stage for people that she knows. She loves this show. These judges watching her, judging her. A complete, like, thousands of people in the crowd watching her. She didn't show up thinking she was going to be on stage. All she has is a microphone in her voice. And she sings Amazing Grace again, even better than she was singing it in the crowd. And I'm crying. I'm like, just like holding myself, shivering. I'm like halfway between smiling and laughing and like just wanting to burst out in tears. I am like the most visceral. I'm like dying inside in like the best way. It's like my body is like rejecting my heart for like coming to life. And of course she like does great. You know, sings it beautifully. She brings her dad up on stage, and he's like, yeah, she actually used to, while I was getting my chemo treatment, she would sing to me to distract me from my chemo treatments. It's like, what is this show? What is this fucking show? And there's this thing they do on this show, right? Which, the fact that she gets pulled out of the audience on the stage, no plan to audition her. I'm sure the crew after this had to rush her back and sign a bunch of paperwork, right? A bunch of releases. There's this thing on this show where any of the judges or even Terry Crews, who's like the host, on-stage host, can do a thing to automatically fast forward somebody to the final round, right? Instead of going through all the different levels of this competition, semifinals, finals, all that kind of stuff, automatically goes to the finals, right? And you have this girl who was an audience member minutes ago, just sang her heart out, making me fucking cry like a goddamn idiot, hearing this insane backstory. And I don't even remember who it was. I don't know if it was Howie Mandel or if it was Terry Crews. Maybe it was Howie Mandel. Motherfucker hits the golden buzzer. Right? You hit the golden buzzer, they go automatically to, it's like instant tears when they hit the magic buzzer. Right? The video screens on stage go gold confetti falls down from the sky. I mean, it's the background for reasons. This isn't the girl. This is last season, I think. But it's an emotional moment when they hit the buzzer. And when they did it in this show, I was like, what the fuck is going on? This show is destroying the fuck out of me with all this goddamn heart and love and joy and dream fulfillment. Amazing. So, this week, fucking thankful as shit for America's Got Talent, a stupid reality competition show, a talent show, but it's amazing. It's amazing. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to watch it when I go to edit tonight. I'm like looking forward to it. And it's something that distracts me. Like I got so distracted yesterday in my prep for this show, for this week's shows, that I barely got done at midnight. I wanted to go to sleep early. I wanted to go to sleep by 10 at the latest. I didn't get to sleep till 1 in the morning because I still had to watch Pinocchio because I'm watching this goddamn show that makes me feel like a human being. Makes me cry and happy and what the fuck. So I'm thankful for America's Got Talent. That's it for this episode. If you haven't watched that show, watch it. Watch it. It's amazingly good. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I love it. I love it. And I'm thankful that I started watching it again. I don't know why I stopped. This season probably ended, and then I was busy when the new season came out. I just didn't do it. But, you know, maybe the next season is supposed to be the summer of 2023. So I don't know. I mean, I'll have to wait if I'm going to do reaction video. Unless I go back to an old season. Maybe I'll go back to an old season that I haven't seen yet and then do that. But anyway, that's been my week. I hope everybody's been having a great week. Take care.
New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!
Today is the day where you wake up and you realize that everything that you've been dreaming about, everything that you've been wanting, every goal and wish and hope that you've ever had can become real. Dreams can come true. What you manifest in your mind, you